Hello everybody, how's it going? So, there's been a bit of controversy. Fucking, before we get into this fucking shit, I want to thank you all for the support, actually, on the most recent video, other than, of course, Kill Connor Club, which, actually, I want to thank you for that as well. Fucking insane response to that podcast. And this is, I'm only recording this, you know, Sunday evening, so insane, fucking insane. You guys, the channel support, fucking Christ. But that last video, 15 reasons Assassin's Creed Origins is gonna suck, you know why that's wrong. It's fucking response on that was insane. Gained so many new subscribers, you know, gained fucking loads of views and likes and shit. And I'm welcome to anyone who's new that watched that video and hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. This is my Monday series where I just sit down in front of a microphone and just talk for a little while about topics that you guys want me to talk about. And I think this series will begin to expand into other areas. Like this one kind of touches upon other areas, but stems from Assassin's Creed in the sense. In which, you know, we'll be going over the DLC and expansion, season passes, microtransactions, and loot boxes. You know, everything that's not the main game of Assassin's Creed Origins, but also other games and how it's affecting sort of the industry as a whole. And I kind of want to go over that because there's a lot of controversy. It's a very two-sided argument, and I do see the arguments for both sides, and I think they have their place in a lot of areas. So we'll get into that and go over that. I do just want to say as well that tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a quick-fire topics video for a video. So if you want to get your topic featured, tweet it at me, because that's where I take all my quick-fire topics. Whether I've recorded the video yet or not, I don't know, but follow me over there anyway, because it's a laugh. Anyway, microtransactions and things, we're going to hop into it, we're going to talk about it. And without further ado, might as well just fucking get into the shit instead of fucking saying it, rambling. Okay, so the new DLC was announced for Assassin's Creed Origins last week. It was last week, right? Yeah, it was last week. It was about a week ago, right? It was like a Tuesday, I think. Oh, Wednesday? No, I don't. You know what? I literally don't care. It was last week, and it was, you know, the season pass plus the post-launch content that's free. And that was announced, and there was a lot of controversy about it within the mainstream audience, I think, is where I saw the most of it, with people like Pretty Good Gaming, who I'm a huge fan of, love their channel, who talked a lot about the Season Pass, and it seems players seem to really like Season Passes, which was strange to them, and I think there's definitely a place for their argument. I do agree with it in some ways. I disagree in others, and, you know, that's okay. So of course, we got the Season Pass, and if you don't know what it includes and everything like that, obviously I made some news videos, you can go check them out. I'm not going to like do all the news again now. But, of course, we got stuff in the Season Pass that is, you know, paid content. We've got the hidden ones, we've got the other one with the dead people and the mystical shit. It's a bit mental. We've got that shit. That's coming in the Season Pass, as well as the, like, Roman Soldier pack and, like, the Osiris pack? No, the Horus pack. Sorry. And those are there as part of the Season Pass, as well as 500 Helix credits, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But those are the things that got announced, and with that, one of the post-launch things was the Heka chests was another thing, with the that sort of vendor, that merchant person that comes every day to give you a like a challenge, and when you complete that challenge, I believe you can acquire items and things, and you can also purchase Heka chests from them, which essentially work like loot boxes, essentially. So let's start with DLC and expansions. I want to talk about how DLC can be good first, and I think that's in the way that Origins is doing it, to be honest. I think that the Season Pass is well worth the money. I've seen a lot of people that are arguing, if I pay for a game, I expect to get everything. Like, I expect that's the game and that's it. Although, I would argue that that's the case for a lot of things. And I agree, that if you pay for a game, I don't want any cut content that they'll sell to me later. I do not want that. Assassin's Creed 2 did that, and I think it was terrible. Things like Battlefront 1 did that, and it was terrible. They cut a shit ton of content and just sold it as expansions, which is not at all the case. It was just terrible. And that's not what they're doing with Origins. What they're doing with Origins is very similar to the Witcher 3 model, like we've talked about, in having, you know, these various expansions that are going to expand Assassin's Creed Origins past the base game. And they're separate. They're developed specifically to be expansions. They're not part of the main game that's being cut away. They're separately developed. They're developed, like, they were conceived as, this is what we're going to do for expansion content, because we want to give people more content for the game. Like, that's where that comes from. Obviously, it's a way of making money, but it's a business. I don't know what you really expect they're going to do. They're not going to give it away for free, especially when it's something that big that's taken, you know, quite a while to separately develop, because it is quite a large expansion, the same as Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine and the Frozen Wilds. So, to me, it makes sense that you know, how much is a season pass? What, $19.99? And you're getting 2 huge expansions for that, as well as some other packs and stuff? That sounds pretty good to me. That sounds pretty good. And when you look at things, of course, like Battlefront, that's done appallingly. The season pass for that was terrible. It was just awful. And you know, they got loads of shit for that, and they deserved it. But Assassin's Creed, I don't think, is the same way. I think Assassin's Creed is doing DLC in the right way. In the, you know, we've got the base game, and they're putting everything into the base game, and the base game's there. You pay for the base game, that's it. You've got this full game, and that's everything. They're not cutting things away to sell to you separately. You've got the base game. They're then making the Hidden Ones expansion and the other expansion to add to that if you want to pay more money to get extra things. It's not cut things, it is extra things. There's nothing wrong with expansions and extra content like that. There is nothing wrong with that. Because it's not cut. It's not cut content, it's extra content. And so, you know, that's what we've got there, and I think that's okay. And that's the way that it can be done well, and obviously, like I said, it can be done bad in the way that Battlefront 1 did it. Very, very bad. Terrible, you know. And Assassin's Creed 2, like I said, terrible. The way that they did that was not very good at all. They cut out 2 sequences and sold them as DLC, which is kind of bullshit. I get why they were cut. There was obviously, I feel like they weren't ever planning on selling that DLC. But I think what happened was they got to a point they were like, the pacing is really off here with these sequences. Let's cut them out. And then when they did that, they were like, well, why don't we just sell them as DLC, because people might want to see what happened there, you know? And that's what they did, which I still think is bad practice, but that's something they did, and I can understand why they did it, sort of, if that makes sense. And in terms of Assassin's Creed Origins, I personally like what they're doing with the DLC. I think it's great to see. There's loads of post-launch content, and it's not just the fact that it's good value for money. I like content staggering. I think a lot of people like content staggering. If you don't, I think that it's, I don't know, because we get to play the base game when it comes out. And then of course we get all these bonus things like Trial of the Gods, and you know, the Discovery Tour that comes out in January, and whatever, you know, there's a bunch of things that are coming out. And then we get the first DLC, then we get the second DLC, and it's like, there's content staggering to continue bringing us back to Origins over the course of 2018, and so I think that's why it's a positive, more so than a negative, that a lot of people are saying. And so I would argue that the Season Pass for Origins is not just worth the money, but is also a positive thing that they're doing that. I mean, obviously, like a lot of people say, like, obviously, if like, you can have content staggering without having to pay for it, and I guess you can, but like, when you've got, like, you can't just expect them to give you all of these expansions for free. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into that. They can't just sell that to you for free, because it's not something that's part of the main game that they're then selling to you. It's like something that's developed separately that they're selling to you, and that's why they're selling it to you, because it's developed separately, so you know, you pay for that sort of thing. And that's the way that I see that. But that's kind of all that I can say on DLC and expansions, because I mean, there's tons of people that have talked about it, and I don't really have much to add other than sort of what I've said. We talked a little bit about it on Kill Corner Club, and I think that's about that. But in terms of microtransactions and loot boxes, there's been the recent controversy, I don't know how you say that word, I think it's both, with Shadow of War, and their loot box system, that a lot of people are mad about. I mean, apparently people are saying that when you get to the end game of Shadow of War, it's the loot box system gets a little bit bad, and I haven't got there yet, so I can't comment on that at all. But as far as I have got, they're not in your face, and it's fine, and I'm not too bothered by them just being there. I'd prefer if they weren't in the game, because I feel like they don't add anything necessarily, and they're just sort of annoying, but it's not really affecting my experience, and I'm still having fun with the game, and I'm still having a good time, and I really like the game, so you know, I think that a lot of people might be overreacting, but then again, I haven't got to the end game, in which a lot of people are saying that's, you know, the worst part of it. So we'll have to wait and see. Origins has introduced loot boxes in Assassin's Creed Origins, of course. And it's with that merchant that you can get the Heka chests off that are loot boxes, like I said earlier on. And those will give you special weapons that you pay 3,000 gold for. And the thing with that is, they're not... It's really not the same way, to me, that they do it in Shadow of War or in Battlefront 2. It looks way more similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, and this is something that I talked about in my news video, is that when you look at these loot boxes in Assassin's Creed Origins, you can purchase them for 3,000 of the in-game gold, which is the in-game currency. You know, it's completely not anything to do with your own money, and it will give you a chest that will give you specific loot, and that's the same as Horizon Zero Dawn. You could go to these vendors, you could pay with, you know, your shards, your metal shards in the game, and get a chest, and that will give you some loot, some just surprise loot. It's just randomized, and that's sort of the same thing I see with Assassin's Creed Origins. There's nothing so far that's led me to believe that they are microtransactions, and so I mean that's it. There you go. You pay with in-game money to get these loot boxes. If you want to, and I think that's a fine way of doing it, because it was fine in Horizon, it's going to be fine in Origins. It doesn't look like there's any way of doing it with your own money. However, there is microtransactions, which we do know of, because there are Helix credits, which you get with the Season Pass, 500 Helix credits. And that's what's sort of worrying, so I don't know how that's going to work, but my theory is that there's a store page that we've seen. When people pause the game, there is a store page. And my theory is that when you go to the store page, there's a bunch of various things that you can purchase that will help you in the game, like time saver packs and you know, possible extra loot box type things, extra loot, you know, just kind of helping you out through the game sort of thing, giving you that sort of handicap, I guess. And I think that you will purchase Helix credits with your own money, and then you use those Helix credits to purchase things from the store page. And I think if they do that, it's incredibly good. I think that's done well, because that means that the microtransactions never intrude on your game, and it doesn't affect your immersion. If you want to buy things from the store, you navigate to the store page, and that's where you get all the microtransaction exclusive things that are... When I say microtransaction exclusive, I don't mean things that are exclusive to microtransactions. I mean a page that is exclusive to microtransactions. An entire page that will just show you everything you can buy with Helix credits, and the Helix credits never come into play when you're going up to vendors. Like, you can't go up to a vendor like you could do in Assassin's Creed Unity, and it'll say, you buy this for this amount of in-game money, or this many Helix credits, like a fucking, you know, pay-to-win mobile game, like fucking Fortress, I don't know what that game's called, Fortress Assault, I don't know what the fucking, you know the one I'm talking about, you can't do that in Assassin's Creed Origins. When you go up to a vendor, everything within the vendor's inventory is paid for with in-game currency. To use the Helix credits, you have to navigate to the store page, where on there you have time saver packs and things like that you can purchase using Helix credits. And as well, everything you can buy with Helix credits is available in the game anyway. But the store page is there specifically to keep the microtransactions separate from the main game, and I think that's really, really good if that's the case. It looks like that's what's the case, and I like that. And Ash has said that everything that's available to get with microtransactions, to get with Helix credits, is available in the main game, which is also very good. So it seems the way they're doing it is really, really good. It seems they're keeping their microtransactions because, you know, they kind of have to, because it's what makes Ubisoft money, and they want to make money. But they're doing it in such a way that doesn't intrude on the player, to me, and it just keeps it a separate thing. If you want to use microtransactions, you find the microtransactions page. Otherwise, it will never affect you, and I think that's how they're doing it. I could be wrong, the game isn't out yet, but from the evidence that we have, that's the way it seems, and I think that's a positive. So, there you go, there's sort of my thoughts on that. Now, what do I think about the whole system? I mean, microtransactions have never bothered me in the past. The only time it bothers me is when it intrudes on my game, or when the game is harder specifically to sell microtransactions. But that's very rare to me that ever happens. I've never really found that in very many games. And those things, of course, would annoy most people. And, you know, it's one of them things where microtransactions aren't going away anytime soon, because people buy them and companies like money. So, you know, you can't really blame the companies for going, well, this made money, why would I remove it? People are buying it, so I'll leave it in the game. And I think there is definitely a complaint to be made. I think there's definitely criticism to be had, and I think it needs to be aimed at the right people, and at the right games, and at the right methods, I think, because I think there's certain ways that do it fine, include microtransactions, because there's people out there that are going to play a game and be like, oh god, I just don't have the time to do all this, like, looting and do all these side stuff. I just kind of want to pay, you know, $5 and just get it, you know, just get a time saver pack. And that's fine. I think those people should be allowed to do that if they feel that they want to do that. The company makes money, the person's happy, it's win-win, and it doesn't affect the player that doesn't want to do it. And I think that's the way Origins is doing, and I think that's perfectly fine if that's something that they want to do, because companies make money, and the people are happy that they get to progress through the game way easier. You know, that's just something that they want to do. So there you go. And if they want to do that, they can do that. And that's why I think having microtransactions on a separate store page that is separately accessible is a positive and is a good thing. So hopefully more games adopt this, because I think that's probably a good thing, because a lot of people just complain when they see microtransactions regardless of whether it affects their experience, which I think is just wrong. Like, why are you complaining? It's not affecting you. If someone else wants to do that, let them do that. You do not have to. The only time you should be complaining about them is when it impedes on your gaming experience. When it impedes on your experience in the game, when the game is harder specifically to sell these loot boxes and microtransactions, when these are when they're there specifically, you know, to be part of the game and like things are hidden behind them, then fuck yeah, be annoyed at that. If they're there in the place of progression, like with Battlefront 2, criticize them, because that's wrong. They should not be there in the place of progression. They should not be there to aid with things because the game's too hard specifically to sell microtransactions. Those are bad business practices, and those things should be criticized. People should be complaining about them. It's terrible. And, you know, but you shouldn't be complaining when things are done in a good way, like with Assassin's Creed Origins. I think they're doing it really well, and I think that, you know, that's a way that should be fine. I don't think they should be praised, but I also don't think they should be criticized either, because I think that, you know, microtransactions are not going anywhere anytime soon. And I think that the way they're handling it is a positive. And I think that, you know, if more companies were to do this, I'd be happy with that, because I think it's a win-win-win situation for the company, for the player, and for people that want to buy microtransactions. It's a win for everyone involved. So, you know, I can only hope that that's the way that things are handled in the future, and I'm happy with the way they're handling things within Assassin's Creed Origins. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, because that would be much appreciated. Comment down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on microtransactions, loot boxes, DLC, expansion packs, season passes, and the lot, because that'd be great. I will see you tomorrow for a quick fire topics video. It will be a ton of fun. Again, thank you to everyone that's been newly subscribing and checking out the channel and everything. It means a lot. And as well, check out the Origins parody. I'll leave it in the outro screen if you haven't already checked it out, so that'd be great. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
You people have suffered too long. It's time we take a stand. Unite, 'cause together we're strong. Defy and take my hand. I'm hearing whispers on the wind, born from the shadows. Origins, are these the flames I see?